Stop right there before you skip this, before your thumb moves to the next video. Before your brain tells you that you have already seen something like this before, I need you to pause for just 10 seconds, because what is about to happen in the next few minutes is not what you think it is. This is not just a video, this is a message that was held and specifically held for this exact moment. For the moment your eyes would find it. For the moment you would be sitting exactly where you are sitting right now, in whatever room you are in, carrying whatever you have been carrying, wondering whatever you have quietly been wondering. Because I already knew you would be here. I already knew what this week has looked like for you. I already knew the question that has been sitting in the back of your mind that you have not said out loud to anyone yet. I already knew the weight that climbed into bed with you last night and was still there when you woke up this morning. And I have something to say to you about all of it. Not something comfortable. Not something designed to simply make you feel good for 5 minutes and then fade the moment this video ends. Something real, something that is going to reach into the part of you that has been waiting, maybe for a long time, to be spoken to directly, without filters, without performance, without someone dancing around the truth because it might be uncomfortable. What I have to say to you today will change the way you understand your past, interpret your present and walk into your future. But only if you stay, only if you resist the pull to half-watch this while you scroll through something else. Only if you give the next 38 minutes the same focus you would give to something that truly mattered to you, because this truly matters to you, even if you do not know it yet. Are you ready? Because we are starting right now, my child. I want to begin by saying something that I need you to truly receive. Not just hear, but receive. And that is this. I see you, not the version of you that you present to the world, not the face you put on for work, for family, for the people who know your name but do not know your story. I see the version of you that exists in the quiet, the version that sits with thoughts you would not say out loud, the version that has questions, real, deep, sometimes frightening questions that you have not known where to take. I see that version, and I love that version just as completely as I love the polished one. There are people in your life who mean well, people who care about you, who would say they know you. But even the ones who are closest to you do not have full access to what you carry on the inside. There are rooms in your heart that you have kept the door closed on, not out of deception, but out of the simple reality that some things are too fragile or too heavy to hand to another person who might not know what to do with them. You have carried things alone that you were never meant to carry alone. You have walked through seasons that left marks on your spirit that the people around you could not see from the outside. Seasons where you smiled when you needed to and held it together when you had to, and then sat with the exhale of it all at the end of the day when no one was watching. I was watching, not in a way that felt like surveillance, not in a way that felt cold or distant or like a report was being taken. I was watching the way a parent watches a child who is struggling with something hard, with a heart that aches to step in, that is already calculating every way to help, that loves what it sees even in the struggle, and especially in the struggle. You have not been alone in any of it. I need you to know that before we go any further. Because what I am going to tell you next, the thing that this whole message is building toward, requires you to be standing on the foundation of that truth. The truth that you are seen, that you are known, that you are loved with a love that does not fluctuate based on your performance, your productivity, your consistency, or your ability to hold yourself together on the hard days. You are loved on the hard days especially. Now I also need you to know something else. I have not been passive in your life. Even in the seasons when it felt like nothing was happening, when the silence seemed to stretch on longer than it should have, when the prayers felt like they were going somewhere and coming back unopened, I was not passive. I was not absent. I was not distracted by something more important. I was working quietly, behind the surface of what you could see, in the parts of your story that had not been written yet, in the hearts of people who were being moved into position without either of you realizing it, in the circumstances that were being arranged, the doors that were being prepared, the things that needed to happen before the thing you were actually waiting for could happen. There is a patience in how I work that can feel, from the inside of a hard season, like delay. But it is not delay, it is precision. Everything that has happened in your life, every turn, Every unexpected detour, every moment that felt like a setback, has been moving you towards something. Not by accident, not as a consolation prize for things that went wrong, but as part of a plan that was drawn up before you took your first breath and has not been abandoned or revised or lost in the noise of everything that has happened, since that your story is still being written and the chapter that is about to begin. I need you to be ready for it, because what is coming is unlike anything that has come before. Let me tell you something about the seasons of a life. Every person who has ever walked through something genuinely hard, genuinely difficult, not the surface-level inconveniences that feel large in comfortable times, but the deep and disorienting kind of hard. Every person who has been through that knows something that people who have not cannot fully understand. They know that hard seasons end. They know it not as a concept, but as something they have felt in their bones. The moment when the pressure began to lift. The morning when the air tasted different. The day when something that had felt impossible began to look possible again. They know that seasons turn, not always on the schedule they would have chosen, not always in the way they imagined, but they turn. And the season you have been in, the one that has felt long and heavy and sometimes without a visible end, is turning. Right now. In this moment, it is turning. I need you to receive that. Not as a nice sentiment, as truth, because the next part of what I have to tell you, the part that explains why this is turning right now and what it is turning toward, is the most important thing I will say in this entire message. And I need you to have your heart open to receive it. Are you still with me? Good, because here is where it gets real. Let me ask you something honest. Have you felt it? In the last few months, maybe even the last few weeks, have you felt something shifting? Not just in your personal life, though you may have felt it there too, but in the atmosphere around you, in the conversations you are overhearing, in the mood of the world, in the way the news feels different, in the way people seem to be carrying a tension that they cannot quite name or put down. Most people are feeling something right now. They just do not know what to call it. They do not know if it is anxiety or intuition, or the simple result of living in a world that has been accelerating at a pace that no generation before this one has ever had to manage. So they try to drown it out. They reach for distraction. They stay busy. They fill every quiet moment with noise because the quiet has started to feel like it is asking them a question they do not want to answer, but you are. Here, which tells me something about you. It tells me that you have not completely drowned out the signal, that underneath everything, underneath the busyness and the responsibilities and the very real demands that your life places on you every single day, there is a part of you that is still listening, still reaching, still sensing that there is more going on than what appears on the surface. You are right, there. There's more going on than what appears on the surface, and what is beneath the surface is moving in a direction that is going to become undeniable very soon, not eventually, not in some vague and distant future, soon in a time frame that will surprise people who were not paying attention and confirm something for those who were. Now here is the part where I need you to lean in closely, because I am not going to tell you everything right now. There is a sequence to this. There is an order in which the full picture needs to be revealed, not to frustrate you, but because the mind and the spirit receive truth most effectively when it comes in layers, when each piece is allowed to settle before the next one arrives. So here is the first layer. Something is being exposed, not just in the world, not just in governments and systems and institutions, though it will reach those places too. Something is being exposed in the hidden places, the places where decisions are made behind closed doors, the places where power operates without accountability, the places where things have been presented one way to the watching world while quietly being something entirely different in the dark. What has been hidden is coming into the light, and this process and this exposure is not going to feel comfortable, not for those whose secrets are being revealed, and honestly, not even for those of us who are watching it happen, because the things that will be uncovered are things that once seen cannot be unseen, and some of what will be revealed will shake the trust that many people have placed in things they believed were solid and permanent. But here is what I want you to hold on to in this moment. Exposure is not destruction. Light is not the same as fire. When truth enters a space, it does not automatically burn everything down. What it does is give people the choice between the clear, informed and no longer confused choice about what to trust and what to walk away from. And that choice, even though it comes wrapped in difficulty, is actually a gift. Even when it does not feel like one, because for too long, far too long, people have been trusting things that were never worthy of their trust, placing the weight of their security on foundations that were never as solid as they appeared. And what is coming will make clear, for anyone willing to see it, what is truly worth trusting and what never was. Now, the question I want you to sit with right now is not about what is going to be exposed in the world. The question I want you to sit with is about you. When the shaking comes, and it is coming, what will you be standing on? Not what you think you should be standing on. Not the answer you would give if someone asked you in a comfortable moment. But in the actual moment of pressure, in the moment when something you did not plan for arrives in your life with force, where does your soul go first? What is your actual foundation? I will come back to that. But first I need to take a moment to talk about something that is happening right now in the spiritual world. Because this is not just about the seen. It never is. What happens in the physical always has its origin in the spiritual. And right now, in the unseen places that your eyes cannot access but your spirit can sense, something is moving, something significant, something that has been building for a long time, and is now reaching a point of release. There are forces being repositioned. There are assignments being given. There are moments that have been held in reserve, held specifically for this window of time, that are now beginning to be released into the earth. And here is the thing about this spiritual movement that I need you to understand. It is not neutral in its impact on your life. What is moving in the spiritual realm right now is directly connected to the next chapter of your specific story. The breakthrough that you have been carrying in prayer. The promise that has felt delayed for so long that some days you have had to choose to believe it rather than feel it. The thing that you know in the deepest part of who you are is meant to be part of your life even though you have not yet seen it with your eyes. The spiritual movement that is happening right now is clearing the way, not just in a general sense, in your specific path, in the specific geography of your life, in the particular story that no one else has lived and no one else will ever live, your story. Now, do you understand why I said at the beginning that this message was not accidental? That nothing about this moment is coincidental. Because what is being released in the spiritual world right now is already connected to you, already has your name on it in some sense, already knows the shape of the space in your life where it is meant to land. And the reason I am telling you all of this before I tell you the full picture, the reason I am walking you through it in layers, is because what I am about to reveal changes everything, and I want you to have enough of the context to be able to fully receive it when it comes. Are you ready for the next layer? I want to talk to you about the season you have just come through, because before I tell you what is ahead, I need to make sure you understand what the last season was actually for, what it was building in you, why it felt the way it felt, and why even though it was hard, it was never without purpose. You have been in a preparation season. Now, I know that word, wise preparation, can sometimes feel like a way of dressing up hardship in language that makes it sound more intentional than it felt from the inside. When you're in the middle of a hard season, someone telling you that it is preparation does not always land the way it is meant to. It can feel hollow, like a nice thing to say when you do not have a better answer. But I am not saying it to make you feel better. I am saying it because it is exactly and precisely true. The last season of your life, and with all of its delays and disappointments and moments when you could not see the road in front of you, was a construction season. A season where things were being built in you that could not be built any other way. Not because I enjoy difficulty, not because suffering was the goal, but because there are certain qualities of character, certain depths of faith, certain layers of resilience, certain capacities for compassion, and for genuine understanding of what other people go through that only come from being walked through something hard and discovering that you came out the other side. You discover things about yourself in difficulty that comfort will never reveal. You discover that you are stronger than you knew, that your faith has roots that go deeper than you had ever tested before, that the things you thought you could not survive, you survived them, that the prayers you were not sure were being heard, they were being heard. Every single one of them. And now that the building has happened, what was built is about to be used. This is why the timing feels the way it does. This is why there is a sense in many of you that something is about to shift, because it is. Because the preparation season has an ending. Because the construction phase gives way to something else, to a phase where what was built gets to stand up and be seen and be used for the purpose it was built for. But I need to warn you about something before that happens. The transition between seasons is one of the most vulnerable moments in a person's life. Here is why. When a season is ending, the old things start to fall away. Relationships shift. Circumstances change. Things that used to feel stable start to feel different. The familiar starts to feel less certain. And if you do not understand what is happening, if you do not recognize a season transition when you are in one, you can make the mistake of trying to hold on to what is ending instead of releasing it to receive what is beginning. Some of you are in that exact place right now. You are holding on to something that has already served its purpose in your life, not because you're foolish, not because you cannot see that things have changed, but because letting go is genuinely difficult, because what you are holding has been part of your story for long enough that releasing it feels like losing a piece of yourself, but it is not loss. Releasing what has served its season is readiness. It is creating the open hand that can receive the next thing, and I need your hands to be open right now, because what I am about to place in them, what is already on its way to you, requires space. It requires you to not be so gripped by the old that there is no room for the new. So if there is something you have been holding, something you know in the deeper places of your heart that it is time to release, I'm asking you gently but directly to begin moving in the direction of release, not in one dramatic moment necessarily, but in the leaning, in the direction of open hands, because what is coming for you is worth the letting go. Now let me tell you something about the people in your life. Not all of them will make the transition into the next season with you. And this is one of the hardest truths that comes with any kind of genuine growth or forward movement. Some of the people who have been part of your story up to this point were assigned to a chapter that is now closing. They were exactly who you needed for the season that is ending. But the season that is beginning requires a different kind of companionship, a deeper kind. People who are going in the same direction you are going. People whose faith stretches yours instead of shrinking it. People who call you forward instead of pulling you back toward who you used to be. I will bring those people. Some of them are already in your world, placed there quietly, waiting for the moment when the connection becomes clear. Others are still being prepared and are on their way to you. But every person who is meant to walk with you through what is ahead has already been identified and is already being moved in your direction. Your job is simply to stay in the right place long enough for them to find you. And the right place, the only place where everything else comes together, is close to me. Now here is what I need to tell you about the world outside your personal story, because this is not just a personal message. What is happening in your life is connected to something much larger. The personal and the global are not separate in this season. What is shifting in the world is directly connected to what is shifting in you and in people like you who have been in preparation seasons and are now standing at the edge of something new. The world is going to need what you carry, not in a distant theoretical sense, in a very immediate, practical, tangible sense. The fear that is spreading through communities right now, and the confusion, the sense of groundlessness, the quiet desperation of people who built their lives on things that are now beginning to tremble, that fear is going to need an answer, and the answer is not going to come from a news channel. The answer is not going to come from the next expert who appears on the next platform with the next theory about why everything is happening and what it all means. Because those answers, as sophisticated as they may sound, cannot reach the place where the real fear lives. They cannot get to the deep place, the place underneath the rational explanations, the place where a person sits at 3 a.m. and asks the question they have been avoiding all day: is there anyone actually in control of this? Is there anyone who actually knows what they are doing? Is there anyone who is not afraid? That question is going to be asked by more people, in more living rooms and hospital waiting areas, and late-night moments of raw honesty than you can currently imagine. And the answer to that question is not going to come from a system or an institution. It is going to come from people like you, ordinary people. People who have been through their own fires and come out carrying something genuine. Something that was not purchased or performed or constructed out of optimism and positive thinking. A peace that is real because it was tested. A hope that is grounded because it has survived disappointment. A certainty that is not based on circumstances being comfortable, but on the character of the one who holds every circumstance. That is what you carry, and that is what the next season is going to ask you to offer. Now I have one more thing to tell you before I get to the heart of this message. One more piece of the picture that you need to hold in your hands before the full image comes into view. The enemy of your soul, that the one who has spent your entire life trying to talk you out of your purpose and minimize the impact of your presence and convince you that you are too small or too broken or too far behind to matter in any significant way. He is going to increase his activity in this season, not because he is winning, because he knows he is running out of time. And the closer you get to stepping into what you were actually created for, the louder the voice will get that tells you to stop, stay small, play it safe. Go back to the comfortable version of your life. Do not listen to that voice. That voice is not wisdom. It is fear dressed in familiar clothing. It is the lie that has kept more people from their purpose than any external obstacle ever could, because the truth is this: you were not built for small, and the next season is about to prove it. Here is the truth, the complete truth, the thing that every word of this message has been building toward from the very beginning. You were created for a moment, exactly like this one, not as a metaphor, not as an encouraging idea designed to make you feel temporarily better about a difficult season. I mean this in the most literal, specific, and intentional sense possible. The combination of everything you are, your history, your personality, your wounds, your gifts, your faith, your failures, your capacity to feel deeply, and your hard-won ability to keep going anyway. That specific combination was assembled with this moment in mind before you were born, before your parents had chosen your name, before the people who would shape you had made the choices that would form you, before the circumstances that carved the contours of who you are had even begun to unfold. I looked at the full timeline of history, from beginning to end, and I identified this specific window. This particular intersection of global events and spiritual movement and human need, and then I designed someone for it, and that someone is you. Not because you are the most qualified candidate, not because your record is clean or your faith has been without seasons of doubt or your path has been straighter than other people's, but because I saw to before any of it happened what could be built in you if you walked through the things you were going to walk through, and I saw what that built version of you could do in a world that was going to desperately need it. Here is what is actually coming. The world is entering a period of shaking that has no real modern equivalent. What is about to unfold across nations, across the systems and structures and institutions that form the backdrop of daily life for most people, will be unlike anything this generation has had to navigate. And I'm telling you this not to produce fear. I have already been clear that fear is not what I am building in you. I am telling you so that you are not shocked, so that when the ground begins to move, you have already been prepared for the movement, so that in the moment when everyone around you is trying to figure out what is happening, you are already standing steady, because you knew it was coming, and you chose your foundation accordingly. Here is what the shaking will do. It will strip away every false foundation. Every system that was built on the appearance of stability rather than genuine strength. Every institution that promised security it was never capable of delivering. Every structure that accumulated trust it never actually earned. These things will be shaken, not all at once, but in waves, until what is not truly solid can no longer pretend to be. And when that happens, when the things that people have placed their weight on begin to crack and shift, and in some cases fall, the people whose lives were built around those things will be left holding a question they may never have seriously sat with. before what is actually real, what can actually hold me, where is the foundation that does not move when everything else is moving. And that is your moment. That is the moment that your entire story of every hard season, every test, every loss, every night of wrestling, and every morning of choosing to keep going has been preparing you for. It's not because you have all the answers, not because you are exempt from the difficulty of what is coming, but because you know something. You know from lived experience, not just from something you were told, that there is a foundation that does not move. And you know it because you have already stood on it when the ground beneath you was shaking. You have already tested it in your own seasons of uncertainty and found it to be exactly what it claimed to be, unshakable. And when people around you are experiencing the terrifying moment of discovering that the things they trusted were not as solid as they believed, you will be the person who can point them toward what is solid, not with hollow positivity, not with the thin confidence of someone who has never had their faith tested, but with the genuine, hard-won, costly authority of someone who has already been in the fire and can say, from the other side, that the one who promised to walk through it with you was actually in the fire. That kind of testimony opens hearts that performance never could. That kind of witness breaks through the defenses of people who have heard the right words before but always sensed something hollow underneath them. Your life, your actual life, with all its complexity and imperfection and real suffering and real survival, is going to be the thing that leads people back to hope when hope has felt impossible. Now let me speak directly into your personal life, because this message is not only about the world, it is about you, your specific story, your specific prayers, the specific things you have been carrying in faith for longer than feels reasonable. They are not forgotten. Not one of them. They were never forgotten. But there is a timing to answered prayer that is not arbitrary, and it is not random. The timing is tied to something. It is tied to the readiness of everything that surrounds the answer. The people who need to be in position, the circumstances that need to have shifted, the version of you that needs to have been formed to be able to carry what is coming without being overwhelmed by it, because some of what I have prepared for you, some of the things you have been asking for, are bigger than who you were when you first asked for them. And if I had given them to you then, in the season when you first began praying for them, they would have been too much. Not because you were weak, but because you were not yet the person who could steward them with wisdom, who could hold them without letting them become the thing your identity was built on, who could carry them with open hands rather than gripped fists. You are becoming that person. You may already be that person in more ways than you have recognized, and the answers that have felt delayed are now aligned with the version of you that can actually receive them and do something extraordinary with them rather than simply possessing them. The door that is about to open is not necessarily the door you have been pressing on the longest. It may be one you have not noticed yet, a direction you have not been facing. But when it opens, and you will know it when it does, because what I open I also confirm with a peace that settles in your spirit in a way that manufactured opportunities never can. It will fit. It will fit who you are and what you carry and where I am taking you in a way that the things you have been chasing on your own timeline have not quite fit. And here is what I need you to do with that. Stop trying to force the door that is not moving. Every moment you spend pressing on a door that I have not opened is a moment your eyes are not on the door that I am opening. Every unit of energy you pour into trying to make something work that has consistently resisted your effort is energy you are not pouring into the thing that is actually ready to receive it. Trust my timing, not as a resignation, not as giving up, but as the active, engaged, fully alive trust of someone who believes that the one holding the timeline is trustworthy, that the plan is good, that the delay was never abandonment, that the no was never rejection, that every closed door was protecting you from something and positioning you for something better. I am not small in my thinking about your life, never have been. The scope of what I have prepared for you, the breadth of the impact your life is meant to have on the people around you, it is larger than the version of it you have imagined on your best days. And the season that is now opening is the season where you begin to see that where the ceiling that fear and disappointment and the weight of hard seasons has been pressing down on you gets shattered. Where you step into something that was always meant to be yours, and it is not just for you. This is the part I need you to truly absorb. What is coming in your life? The breakthrough, the answered prayers, the new doors, the depth of purpose that is about to become clear. It is not only for your benefit. Everything I give to you for others. Every gift I place in your hands was always meant to pass through them. Every elevation in your life is connected to an increase in your capacity to carry something. For the people around you, your story is going to become the oxygen that gives someone else permission to keep breathing. Your willingness to be honest about where you have been and what you have been through, the real version, not the edited one, not the highlight reel, is going to be the thing that convinces someone who is ready to give up that there is actually a reason to hold on. One more thing, the peace that is going to mark your life in this season. The unusual, inexplicable, genuinely not of this world steadiness that people are going to observe in you. That peace is going to be a sign, not just a personal experience, a sign, evidence that there is something real underneath your life that does not tremble when everything else does. And people are going to want to know what it is. They are going to ask you. Some will ask directly. Others will orbit you quietly for a while, watching, waiting, trying to figure out what the source is, why you are not panicking, why you are not swept up in the fear that is moving through every other conversation. And when they ask, when the moment comes, and they are honest and open in a way they have not been in a long time, you will be ready. Not because you rehearsed an answer, but because the answer is your life. The answer is everything you have been through and what you found on the other side of it. Tell them, without editing, without shrinking, without apologizing for the depth of what you actually believe. Tell them about the one who held you when you were not holding yourself. Tell them about the peace that showed up in the middle of the night when the fear was loudest. Tell them about the morning when something shifted, even though nothing in your circumstances had changed. Tell them about the door that opened when you had stopped looking for it. Tell them about the grace that showed up in every season, not to remove the difficulty, but to make it survivable and then to make it meaningful. Tell them, because that is what this was all for. Every hard thing, every long night, every season that tested the deepest roots of your faith, it was producing something in you that you are now going to offer to the world in a moment when the world desperately needs it. You were made for this, and we are now here. Take a breath, I mean that literally. Right now, just breathe, because I know that was a significant amount to take in, and I know that some of what I said, the parts about the shaking, the exposure, the changing world, can trigger something in even the most settled person. Something that wants to prepare, to protect, to calculate how to get ahead of what is coming. I understand that impulse completely, but right now, in this specific moment, I want you to set that aside, just for a minute, and I want you to notice something. Notice how you feel right now compared to how you felt when this video started. Is there something different? Something that was sitting heavy that has shifted even slightly? Something that was tight in your chest or your spirit that has loosened a little? If you feel that, I want you to recognize what it is. That is peace, real peace. Not the peace that comes from everything being resolved, and all the questions having answers, and all the circumstances being comfortable. That kind of peace is fragile because circumstances change constantly. The peace I am talking about, the peace that you might be feeling even slightly right now, comes from a different source. It comes from something landing in the deep place. Truth reaching the part of you that was waiting for it. And that peace, and that particular kind of peace, is available to you not just in this moment, but in every moment. In the moments when the news is hard. In the moments when the thing you did not plan for shows up and demands an immediate response. In the middle of the night when the thoughts are loud and the room is quiet, and the weight of what you are carrying feels heaviest, it is available to you there, because it does not come from circumstances. It comes from a relationship. From the closeness, the genuine, tended daily closeness, to the one who holds all circumstances in his hands, and has never once been surprised by what is in them. I want you to know something before we close. You made it through today. I know that sounds simple, but it is not. For some of you watching this, making it through today was harder than it looked from the outside. The weight was real. The fight to choose hope over despair, to choose trust over fear, to choose to keep going when everything in you wanted to stop. That fight was real. And you won it, just by still being here, just by showing up one more time even when showing up felt like climbing a mountain. I see that. I honor that. And I want you to know that the strength it took to keep going in the hard seasons, the strength you are not even sure where it came from, because it did not feel like it was coming from you. It was mine flowing through you. It has always been mine flowing through you. You did not manufacture that endurance out of thin air. I was in it with you, and I will be in what is ahead with you in exactly the same way. You are going to be okay. Let me say that again because some of you need to hear it more than once. You are going to be okay, not in a way that means nothing hard will happen, but in the way that matters most. In the deepest way, you are held by something that does not shake. You are loved by something that does not change. You are walking towards something that was prepared for you before you took your first breath and will be waiting for you on the other side of every hard thing that stands between here and there. And when you arrive, when you look back from that place, and you will see it. You will see how every piece connected, how every delay made sense, how every season that felt like loss was actually making room, how every closed door was quietly repositioning you for the door that was always meant to be yours. You will see it clearly. And on that day, the word that will rise up in you, the word that will be bigger than any other word, will be gratitude, because you will know. You will know from the vantage point of having arrived that you were never alone in the journey, not for a single step of it, not even in the moments when alone was exactly how it felt. Until that day comes, hold on to what I have told you today. Hold on to the truth that you are seen, that you are known, that the season is turning, that the door is opening, that you were made for this moment and the one who made you for it is walking into it with you. Hold on to that, and hold on to me. Section 7, Call to Action, Natural, Warm, Community-Based Smooth Landing, feels like an invitation, not a pitch. Before you go today, I want to ask you something personal, not about subscribing yet, just something real. Did this message reach you? Not just your mind, though I hope it reached that too. Did it reach something deeper, the part that does not always have words, the part that has been carrying things quietly, the part that knew somewhere underneath the daily noise that there was something more to the season you have been in than what appeared on the surface? If something shifted in you while you were here, even something small, even just a degree of loosening in the tight places, I want you to know that this channel was built for exactly that, not for views, not to be the loudest voice or the most polished channel or the one with the best production value, but to be the place where real people come and actually receive something, where the messages go past the surface and reach the places that need reaching, where you leave different than you arrived. If that is something you want to keep coming back to, if you want a place in your weekly rhythm that actually speaks to where you are on the inside, then make this channel part of that. Subscribe right now. Not as a favor to us, as something you are doing for yourself, because what is coming in the next few weeks on this channel is going to speak directly into the season you are walking into. And you do not want to miss it. Hit the notification bell too, so that when the next message drops, it actually finds you. And if today gave you something real, share it, because someone in your life right now is in the middle of something heavy. Someone you care about is asking the question underneath all their other questions: is there anyone actually in control? Is there a reason to keep going? Is there any real hope left? Send them this video, not with a long explanation, just with the message, "This made me think of you," because it probably will. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is not fix their problem. It is point them towards something that can reach the place where the problem actually lives. Tag them in the comments, and then drop something for us. Tell us what hit you. Tell us where you are in your story. Tell us what you are carrying into this season, and what you are believing for on the other side of it. We read everything. We pray for this community. Every person who shows up here matters to us, not as a statistic, not as a view, but as a person with a real story who deserves something real. That is who you are to us. And we will see you in the next one. Until then, hold on. What is coming is better than what has been, and you were made for it.